What's going on, everybody? Keep meteorologist Brian Niznansky here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where winter is back. This is Niz Weather Wizdom. The time is 12:15 on January 14th, and it feels a lot more like January. Yesterday at this time, we were closing in on 50 degrees. And boy, has that changed here today. Again, the wind making a huge difference out there. That cold front arriving last night, a little after midnight, brought in the colder air, brought a flash freeze to the area this morning across much of the state. And then you throw in the wind, blowing snow, and added snow. And it was a nasty morning across area roadways for the morning commute. And as I mentioned, it's feeling a lot more like winter. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about not only the cold and wind we're dealing with now, but even colder conditions on the way by this weekend, and then also some snow to contend with. So we're going to break all of that down. If anybody has a question or a comment, please feel free to fire away. Always, if you happen to be watching on YouTube, Facebook's great, but I recommend heading over to YouTube, search Niz Weather Wizdom, and hit subscribe. Niz Weather Wizdom, W-I-Z-Dom, or just search for Brian Niz. So, all right, we got a lot to talk about today. So let's get right to it. As we take a look here, 24-hour temperature change. 24-hour temperature change. We are roughly 30 degrees colder right now in southeastern Wisconsin compared to yesterday at this time. So a big change. When you factor in the wind, that change feels even more significant. So, yeah. And part of the reason, obviously, it feels even more significant because of the wind gusts. So far today, let's take a look at some of the recent wind gusts that we've seen across southeastern Wisconsin. Had a 47-mile-per-hour wind gust in Milwaukee, 39-mile-per-hour gust in Waukesha and Sheboygan. Now, those are gusts, sustained winds, probably 20 to 30 miles per hour. We're going to start to see that wind back off a little bit this afternoon. Still going to be windy. Actually, this looks like tomorrow's gust. Tomorrow's gust not nearly as strong, but still going to be windy this afternoon, just not quite as windy as what we've seen, more of like the 30 mile per hour range. So we got a big pattern change. I mean, look at this map. As we look across the Midwest, this is upper levels here. You can see our air mass now originates from the Hudson Bay, works all the way down into the Great Lakes region, whereas you have a ridge of high pressure, nice weather, and warm weather out west. So what this does is it will bring in a couple clippers, very slow moving clipper. This upper level pattern gets locked up. So it's not going to be like fast moving typical clippers. What we're going to get is an area of low pressure, very slow moving to move in here as we head into tomorrow night. And again on still on Friday, lingering around. So let's go through time here. There will be a little sneak of relatively warmer air that tries to get in here Thursday night into Friday ahead of that next clipper. And then here comes an even colder punch of air. I mean, you can see directly where this air originates from. Not only are we going to feel it here in southeastern Wisconsin, but throughout the state. If you're watching statewide, going to feel this cold across the entire Great Lakes. If you're watching, you are going to feel this cold. So, yeah, again, please fire away with a question or a comment if you happen to have any in regards to the weather forecast as we look ahead. All right, let's take a look at the statewide 24-hour temperature change. Yeah, obviously, big drop in temperature, 20 to 30 degrees throughout much of the state. Now, let's take a look at the current readings across southeastern Wisconsin. And given the fact that it is January, this really isn't like all that bad. I mean, yeah, it's down to 18. It's a cold day. Average high for today is around 30. We're not going to get there. We already hit our high temperature that happened at midnight last night. This is pretty much where we're going to stay now through the day. Let's take a look at the Midwest picture. Again, if you happen to be watching this live or later on, I'm going to try to make this stream, definitely Wisconsin focus, but also throughout the Midwest, because we're all related with the weather that we see, and just a little bit bigger picture. So again, out in the plains, you notice that relatively mild temperatures. Rapid City at 31, North Platte, Nebraska 37. We have that cold air that's now digging across the Great Lakes region. 12 right now in Rhinelander, Sault Ste. Marie at 9 degrees, International Falls at 4 degrees. That's only part of the story. When you factor in the wind, it feels a lot colder than that. Current wind chills down to 1 in Milwaukee, 2 below 0 in Rhinelander, 7 below 0 International Falls. I can't stress this enough. I get it. Like, this isn't like crazy cold. This could be much worse for this time of year. But given where we were yesterday, this is a big change for us here across the area. So, yeah, bundle up. Bring the winter coat back if you went with the sweatshirt the last couple of days. All right, let's look into the future. I want to first show you the European computer model run as we go through the feels like temperatures these next couple of days. And you'll see tonight, staying cold into tomorrow morning, single digits to around 0. It gets much better, though, tomorrow afternoon into Friday. So just follow. I'm scrubbing through time here. I'm going to actually zoom out slightly. Zoom back in a little bit more. Just want to make sure everybody's able to see the screen properly. That includes the time. And what you're going to see again is as we head into tomorrow, those wind chills starting to back off a little bit, starting to improve a little bit across the area. So you can see by midday, 5 in Milwaukee, by 2 o'clock, 14, Madison 13, Green Bay 18 for a wind chill. But then Friday, still relatively mild. Watch what happens, though, this weekend. We get that second punch of colder air, and it will be colder than what we're even dealing with today. You can see by Saturday midday, wind chill starting to dip below again in the Twin Cities, eventually down to 18 below. Saturday night in Eau Claire, eventually 20 below 0, and then eventually 10 below 0 by Sunday morning. Green Bay, 15 below 0. Wausau, 21 below 0. Milwaukee, 5 below 0. And then it backs off a little bit again Sunday afternoon. And guess what? Sunday night into Monday morning, we could be talking about one of the coldest, if not the coldest, air mass of the season so far. We shall see. This European computer model run showing 30 below wind chills possible in western Wisconsin, across Minnesota, more like 20 below 0 in Milwaukee. This would be cold enough. I don't think we have cold that warrants a cold weather advisory until that punch of cold air. This is the cold weather advisory criteria. Again, you need to have 20 below 0 wind chills in eastern Wisconsin, 25 below 0 in western Wisconsin. I think the next time we actually reach that, if we reach it, will be Sunday night into Monday. Until then, just kind of standard cold. So before we talk a little bit about snow, I want to see if there are any questions or comments that are coming in. And then we'll talk a little bit more about the cold. All right, let's see. Deb says, welcome to Wisconsin. You got it. Well, I've been here for a long, long time, but thank you, Deb. Sandy says, Burr, are you able to see the outlook of snow for the rest of winter? Rest of winter looks like pretty equal chances. There really isn't nothing much to note. However, this pattern that we're starting to get into with these punches of cold typically bring in clipper type systems. So what I will see is a lot of, let's say, several minor snow events. And that leads us right into this conversation, which is a great, great question. So what I want to do now is I want to start to look into our next snow chance, which arrives Thursday night into Friday. Obviously, right now, we are seeing light snow here in the Milwaukee area, and snow extending down towards Indiana. In fact, as we take a closer look at this, You can see another little burst of snow that's moving across our northern metro counties, Ozaukee County, Washington County, here in the Milwaukee area. On the other side of Lake Michigan, a more steady snow from Kalamazoo to Lansing to Flint over towards Detroit, and even heavier down towards Fort Wayne. Flurries just for the Chicago area. Obviously, last night into this morning, conditions got worse than what I was expecting yesterday. If you watched the TMJ4 news yesterday, I wasn't really overly concerned, to be honest with you, with the potential for like a slick morning this morning. And obviously we had it. Temperatures dropped pretty quickly. You had the wind, you had the snow. It really wasn't the amount of snow. There wasn't much to it, but we had a pretty dicey morning across the area. So, all right, let's talk about the future snow, the next snow that is on the way. And if you are watching this again, if you have a specific question, please fire away, or a comment, please fire away, and we'll try to answer those comments live, or I'll write back at another time. So, let's take a look at the graph. The graph is an in-house model that we have at TMJ4. Many TV stations have access to this model. It does a pretty good job in the near term. Not as good as the HUR, I think, as far as like really short term. But when you're looking at a window of like 24 to 48 hours, the graph does pretty good. So let's use that, because that's when our next snow chance arrives. As we look at this map, you can see how any light snow backs off, maybe a few flurries tonight across eastern Wisconsin, but most of those snow showers stay out over Lake Michigan. Here comes the next round of snow, and this time's out for northern Wisconsin, arriving during the early afternoon tomorrow, 1, 2 o'clock. Western Wisconsin, more like 3, 4 o'clock. Southeastern Wisconsin, more like an evening event, 7, 8 o'clock. Heading into tomorrow evening. And that would just be the first initial burst of snow as this area of low pressure kind of stalls out. Snow showers will wrap around it. We'll have blowing snow. We'll have windy conditions, on and off snow showers expected through the day on Friday. This does not look like a major winter storm, but it does look like, with the wind, similar to what we're seeing today, we're going to have windy conditions, snow blowing around. Not the best travel. I wouldn't say honestly, I think everybody's fine to travel. Obviously, you know your comfort zone, but just things getting a little bit more dicey. Let's look at the snow amounts. Again, you're going to see pretty minor amounts. This is not a major snow event, but enough that the roads will get slippery at times. Through Friday, the graph outputs maybe 2 to 4 inches in far northern Wisconsin, more like a 1 to 2 inch snow event for much of the state, including southern Wisconsin, even down towards Chicago, less than that out towards Iowa and the Twin Cities, Minnesota area. Let's take a look at the European computer model, see if there's any major differences. I don't anticipate any, but we'll scrub through this. Again, follow the time on the top. And away we go. Snow amounts, Thursday night into Friday morning. Pretty similar, right? Maybe a little less than the graph, but yeah, like a 1 to 2 inch snow for much of the state. 2 to 4 inches for northern Wisconsin, an inch down towards Chicago, lighter amounts over towards the Twin Cities and Cedar Rapids. So as I build probably a forecast map this afternoon, it's going to be very much probably a 1 to 2 inch snow for us here in southern Wisconsin. So any other questions, comments coming in this afternoon, please fire away. If you happen to be watching this later on in the afternoon, feel free to write a comment in the comments, or question or comment in the comment section, and I'll be sure to reply to that if I get a chance. One final reminder, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this taped, please head over to YouTube and search Brian Niz, N-I-Z, or Niz Weather Wizdom, and subscribe to my new YouTube page. Trying to beef up presence on all platforms, and YouTube was a space that I never really explored. And obviously it's 2026, so I better start doing that. Thanks, everybody. Looks like no other questions, comments coming in, so we'll leave it